right, let's return to a story we reported on a little earlier, and that's the storm damage in KwaZulu-Natal, which is proving to be quite a challenge for schools that were meant to reopen today. Of course, all coastal schools were due to reopen, but it's understood that in the region of 200 schools that have been damaged in the storms were unable to do so. Well, for more on this, I'm joined by the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Sihle Zikalala. Premier, thank you so much for your time. I wonder if you could just clarify for us how many schools in your province have actually been damaged by storms and flooding.
Thank you, and thanks for having us in your program. KwaZulu-Natal have suffered severe storms, and as a result of that, about 186 schools were damaged. But majority of those schools have been open and are able now to continue with lessons, and learners are learning. Only about 11 schools which have not been open, and the department through the MEC are working on the plan to ensure that those 11 schools are also open. The intervention that helps us to open is to provide mobile classrooms in areas where classes were really damaged to a point where they cannot be used. So we've provided mobile classes for that purpose.
So of those areas that are really, the schools that are really hard hit, where you're going to have to get those mobile classrooms out, which of those areas, how many schools are really hard hit by the storms, and when are they going to reopen?
Well, those that are not open, the 11 schools that are not open, we hope toward the end of this week or early next week they will open. We are working on the plans that they also get covered with the provision of mobile classrooms. We have, as I've said, a total number of 186 schools that are affected, and only 11 could not open. They are spread throughout KwaZulu-Natal. The reason is that the storm started around November and lasted till early January. The recent affected areas will be Umgungundlovu, Ilembe, and the Midland areas, which will include Umzinyati, then Utugela.
All right, thank you so much for clarifying that. I want to move to another issue that our reporter Letiwe Mdluli was talking to us about. She did a report on also 11 schools that are closed, but not around storm damage. This apparently is over a dispute around the chieftainship of eNCA Mdluli. Now, she was unable to get information on this, but she said what she's heard is that you told him to vacate his position. There's now a dispute over that. And I wanted to clarify if that is indeed the case. And the local community apparently want him reinstated. Would you do that?
Well, we are in a process of engaging with the Gwanyavu community, including the traditional council. The reasons to vacate were presented to the Executive Council by the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, given that they are the lead department as mandated by the Premier. So we are in engagement with them. We hope that by before the end of this week, schools would open so that all students go to school and learn.
All right. Another quick issue I just want to ask you about the opening of Parliament in your province. Will the King be present?
Thanks. It will depend on the status of the appointment and the process of the appointment of the King. I'm saying that because as the government, we have a position that says we're not going to be involved in the matter of the royal house as it concerns the dispute around on who becomes the king. You will know that the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma appointed a team, a panel of members that are dealing with the matter. And the team is about or is yet to bring the report to the minister, and we believe the minister will take us through the report, and we will all make inputs in the process going forward.
All right. I just want to ask you about another thing, and this came up during my interview a little earlier with the Labour Minister, Sihle Zikalala. Over the weekend, you made a call for government to reserve general and semi-skilled jobs just for South Africans. We know, of course, this is becoming a hot potato issue with the EFF, the Patriotic Alliance speaking out about it. I'm just wondering if you could clarify exactly what you mean. Are you suggesting that, for example, there should be only South African petrol attendants, only South African waiters in this country under this call that you're making?
Well, the call we made as the ANC in the province is in line with the January 8 statement of the ANC as presented by President Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa at Polokwane, where the President and the ANC and EC made a call that the minister or the government must publish the list of skills and businesses that will be reserved as set aside for local people. So that is the message we are emphasizing, that they should be those set aside in terms of jobs, especially jobs that does not require requisite skills. So those jobs will need to be reserved for South Africans.
I hear you, and I think a lot of South Africans would support your call. But at the same time, if that law was passed, wouldn't that mean that we see a lot of foreigners deported because those jobs are purely reserved for South Africans? And would you be happy with that?
Well, it's not a question of being happy or not. Firstly, we are not happy, that there are a lot of undocumented persons in South Africa. It's one issue that we need to deal with. The second issue, the question of the relationship with countries, is governed. There is SACU, which regulates the trade and relations, economic relations in Southern Africa, and there are other policy frameworks that govern our engagement as the country with the continent and the world. And we believe that the proposal of making such legislation is in line with the global trend. Because if you go to other countries, you will find that there are specific regulations. Others would say at least each company must not employ more than this quota in terms of foreign employees. So we would not want to say it's a question of being happy about that or not. We are part of Africa, we are part of the global world, but when it comes to issues of jobs and issues of trade, there are those economic activities and those job opportunities that must be reserved for South Africans.
All right. Well, thank you for clarifying that. Much appreciate your time. KwaZulu-Natal Premier Sihle Zikalala.